My name's Bob Gilbreath. I'm a co-founder, president of Ahology. Actually spent my career in big company marketing at Procter & Gamble, then on the agency side, had an agency that became part of WPP, but saw an opportunity on Pinterest a few years ago when we started our company that it is a game changer, that it is maybe arguably the first digital platform after Google where the marketing itself actually makes the app better. And that inspired us to start this company. We're 2.5 years down the road, just recently named in the inaugural class of official Pinterest partners called the Marketer Developer Program. We're a mix of technology, of service, and also a solution of content, and we really focus on going deep with big brands, companies like Procter, like Kraft, like Visa, Hallmark, who are trying to figure out how to connect with their audience on this amazing platform. So I want to share a little bit of that today, a little bit of data about the audience and how to win on the platform. The first thing, though, to think if you're new to Pinterest for marketing is please throw away everything you've ever thought about before in social media. Because Pinterest really isn't just the next social channel. It's a completely different form of technology, a completely different platform. And the biggest mistakes come when you start treating it like everything else that's kind of been there before. That's one of the key themes today. Let's start with some data and understanding the users, though. Who are these people who are pinning? It's a really interesting group. We actually did some research last year that we're now updating this year. And this year we did, I'll show you a sneak preview of some of the Canada-specific insights we got. But if you look at the Pinterest users, they tend to be younger. It's a pretty broad age range, really. But it is, you'd say probably the target is a millennial mom. People who are kind of born digital and finding this as a great way to plan life. 66% of them are early adopters. They're saying they're the first to try new products and services. And they also have used Pinterest quite a bit to plan new things, to try new things. And that's a big theme there, is that people are using it to decide what to do, to plan, to form projects. It's also interesting, we're starting to see some shifts away from other types of media. We're seeing them use less other social media when they're coming to Pinterest. They're reading fewer magazines, fewer catalogs. And actually a significant percentage of people say that they're using Pinterest instead of Google. And that's a first clue of the difference there. Pinterest is much more of a search media than a social media. It's people literally typing into the search bar to look for things. Combining some of the benefits of Google, adding visual search, and then also adding humans curating boards and projects. And that's why a lot of people say that they spend 5 minutes and all of a sudden it's an hour into being on Pinterest. It's also very mobile, so about 75% of people using Pinterest of that time spent is on a mobile device, primarily phone. Also what's interesting is that we're seeing people use Pinterest as almost a universal shopping tool. Many people will say they're at the store, at the grocery store, pull up the app to go find that recipe and then buy the ingredients for it. They're at the mall, they go look and see some of the clothing that they pinned over the past few weeks. Our data says that about half of daily users, which are about 30% of all Pinterest users, are regularly pulling up Pinterest in the store to make decisions. You might argue it's reversing showrooming. People are doing research at night and then going in the store and making purchases that they discovered on Pinterest. They're also very open to brand marketing, but few of them are following brands today. Two-thirds, as we said, two-thirds of all pins are actually put out by some kind of business. But a lot of brands don't even know that they're following, or a lot of people don't know that they're following a brand, and some of the really big brands have been late to the game. Some interesting stats that we found on Canada specifically, a little bit further behind in the US where Pinterest has gotten fully up and running. But some interesting data. One of the things we saw that it's got the highest percentage, if you do compare it to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, highest percentage of people spending 21 minutes or more per session. Very high percentage spending over a half an hour. So again, that's because it's planning. That's because it's in depth. Similar notes that you might see on a Google, for example. We're seeing lots of growth in Canada. More than a third of users have joined within the past year, which is pretty aggressive. We're seeing early adopters be about half of that total, so still significant. And again, similar attitudes of this is not a social media, this is something to help me search and plan and discover things I didn't know existed. We're also, if you're looking at it from a media perspective, the reach is 35% bigger than Twitter or Instagram. and about half of Canadian Pinterest users are on the platform several times a week. About half of those are on every single day. So it's definitely at scale here and only growing. So what do you do? Again, we kind of are seeing a little bit of how people are using the platform. Again, the theme is you got to change your game to win. If you've never seen Pinterest before, here it is. For those in the back, this is my Pinterest. This is my feed. It's very personal, and it's interest-based. I might be following a couple of brands that I know, but I'm using it to discover things, to plan projects. This is literally a few hours ago I pulled this up. I'm seeing pins in my feed for craft beer ideas. Because I follow craft beer, I'm into that. I'm seeing a backpack idea because I'm in the market for trading in my old bag and trying to get a backpack. I'm seeing some of my clients, like Hefty, that are pinning kitchen hacks on Pinterest, another popular topic. So that's part of the key and why people say they go in, and increasingly what Pinterest is doing as a platform is watching what you do. Instead of you having to follow brands, it's watching what you're doing on and off Pinterest and then making recommendations for the types of content that you might like. Pinterest itself says that it's kind of like the search engine for when you're not sure what to type into the box. That's what marketers want, to be there to almost create the need, to be there before the need is fully expressed. It's a point of market entry dream. On my mobile device, the first pin I see is social media explained with beer. So perfect, you know, tying all my interests together into one pin there. So mobile is heavy, and again, think about how people are using this differently. Another kind of way to help put your mind around this platform is Facebook is really for what you did in the past. Here's the picture of what I did yesterday. Here's the picture of the event we were at. Twitter is for the present. Here's what's going on right now. And what we see is Pinterest is for the future. Pinterest is what might I do someday? What trip could I take? What recipe am I going to make tonight? It's really, again, a planning tool, and that's when we talk about discovery and inspiration, that's when you're talking about Pinterest. There's marketing spots for all those, but you really need to see where you need to play based on how people are using it. Another big thing to know at the start point is that content is queen. Content is everything. This is what people are using it for. Again, think visual bookmarking, think search. Yes, there's images, but the image is more like a magazine image. It catches your eye, it gets your mind thinking, and then a description, headline, subheadline, gets you deciding if you want to read and rip that magazine article out of the paper. So the content is key there. But it's really a winner-take-all game. We did some research recently where we pulled hundreds of thousands of pins and looked at the traffic coming from them. What we see is that Pinterest content follows the 80 for 20 principle. In fact, it's 18% of pins drive 80% of the engagement. So things like clicks and repins. So it's really kind of a winner-take-all on that content. In some categories, it's even more concentrated. So all the way to hair and beauty, 6% of pins are driving 80% of the engagement on the platform. So you want to make sure that you've got outstanding content to win. How do you know you've got great content? You put it on Pinterest and you look at the primary KPI, which is the repin rate. This is something you can see visually once you've started to pin something. It's the number of people who actually choose to pin something to a board. Again, it depends on what kind of interest they have, what have you, but when you're seeing there is a live quality score. The more repins you have, the more people are seeing it and acting on it, which is what you want. The second thing that repins do for you is it gives you, I hate using this word sometimes, a viral effect. We've kind of bastardized that term in digital, but Pinterest actually does benefit from viral dynamics. Because when one person hits that repin button, those that follow them can start seeing that in their feed. It also, the more repins you have, the more Pinterest will put your content in search results or those recommended results. And so a good repin score, or also we look at the repin rate, so the percentage of people who see a pin, who actually act on it, is more important even than the click rate and any other kind of numbers you could look at. That's that key to success. And again, it's nice because it's a very public number. You can see what your competition's getting, anyone else in your space. So what do? Right? So if you see this as an opportunity to win, you've got content that you think your audience will look for, you see a business opportunity to be there when and where people are looking for solutions from your company, Now you're talking about how do you build this into the practice? What do you do? Again, you just can't do the same thing over and over. You can't see, there's my pin for the day, let me take what I did on Twitter and pin it. We have a model that we use with our clients that's turning this into an engine that goes from sourcing the right content, optimizing it for the platform, and then scaling what we're seeing work, increasingly with paid or promoted pins, which I'll talk about a little bit. So in terms of sourcing the right content, this is where you're looking for what is your audience interested in, using a combination of both content that you have as well as content from that World Wide Web out there. Some of the best is out there existing. And a mix of having your own content as well as curating others is a great way to deliver what your audience is looking for on the platform. We do a couple things with our software, and a lot of this is public in the research side. If you go to ahology.com/research, we do trend reports based on the hundreds of thousands, we're well into the millions of pins placed. So you can start seeing specific keywords, categories, and topics, both how they're kind of the volume of interest on the platform as well as the seasonality. One of the things you start seeing is seasonality can be significant, and it's way ahead of when you might think. For example, we'll start seeing Christmas content pop in, August. Crazy. You would never spend marketing dollars on a holiday sale or event in August. But that's when that Pinterest user is starting to have a little bit in the back of his or her brain about gift ideas, about what you might make for that big dinner. Doesn't mean you're going to act on it right now, but that's when they'll start populating those boards and then come back to them much closer to the date. Kind of interesting. So sourcing the right content through trends, through analysis, through seeing what your audience is interested in. Then our job is to optimize that. And here again, the little things, just like Google and search in some cases, but different, the little things can add up to mean a lot. One thing is timing. So think of Pinterest as that user is flipping through, not necessarily with, sometimes, but not always with a specific goal in mind. And so sometimes timing can have a big issue. In food, for example, we've seen that chocolate, anything related to chocolate, starts taking off around 8 o'clock Eastern time. What's so funny? I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure that out. It's cravings, right? So that's literally how it's working is 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you're going through and there's that awesome chocolate something. And your unconscious goes, hey, look over there. That's how it works. That's one of the keys to success. So now what do you do when you have a chocolate breakfast burrito, which sounds pretty awesome. You can't always do that yourself. That's one of the things we try to build into our software. We have an automated scheduling algorithm that actually decides when to place those pins based on the history of what we're saying, certain keywords popping throughout the day, throughout the week. So again, kind of use some things to help it make it easier to get better results. What we also see too, again, thinking of search as keywords and descriptions are very critical, both in being keywords are what people are looking for, different topics they're looking for, but also a really compelling description can get someone to convert from seeing it and reading it to clicking and repinning. So we've done a lot of A/B tests, a lot of things over the years to see how we can get better and better at copy descriptions. One of the things several months ago that we saw in experimentation was if you take a dessert like this and add the words at the end of the description, a great reward after dinner. Just that, you do an A/B test, one has just the description of the recipe, the other one adds that little line at the end. The one with the great reward after dinner got 42% more repins, everything else being the same. What's happening? Another psychological thing. People read it and they go, oh yeah, that would be a great reward after dinner. I'm going to pin that. You're planting a seed in someone's mind as they're open to suggestion. They're looking for things. And so those little things add up. Again, hard to do this every time. Remember to do this every time. If you've got to do 10 pins a day, which by the way, that's what we like to do or more. One of the things we do with our software is as you're typing a description, it recommends other words that you might want to use based on what we're seeing performing in real time in the marketplace. So trying to make it easier to win on the platform. Another just big key to success though is creativity. And always kind of looking for that pinner in mind and what are different things you can do, different ways to experiment. With Kraft, for example, we've been working for nearly 2 years with their amazing recipe content marketing program, where Pinterest is far and away the #1 social channel in terms of driving traffic. We get together with a multi-company team, including their agency and brand team, where we're brainstorming. What are different ways we can lay out pins? What are different words we can use? What trends are we seeing that we can actually feed into their test kitchen so that they can create a recipe that we think is going to win based on some of what we see popping? So that's just a really great way to win when you start diving into this platform and seeing it be successful. And again, branding is key too. So one of the biggest questions out there has been, what happens when, I'd love to put more branding in, what does that do? And frankly, sometimes you would think that that would hurt the repin ratio or interest because, oh, it's putting an ad in. But what we've seen is that when it's done well, not over the top, not in your face, but when it's done well, it actually lends some credibility. And when you take something like food, those who are do any cooking and have found recipes on Pinterest, sometimes it doesn't work out so well. The Pinterest fail blog shares a lot of those. But when you see that it's coming from Kraft, that actually adds an air of legitimacy, credibility that might make you take a second look. And again, we're not just guessing that, we're letting the data decide, and we're seeing that adding good, subtle branding can be neutral to positive on the performance of content in Pinterest, which again, very encouraging for us marketers that are trying to win on the platform. The last thing I want to share is just now how we've got an exciting new opportunity to take what we're doing with earned on Pinterest and really scale it up with paid. And this is something that we've kind of learned over 6 years that paid has to happen on Facebook. Unfortunately, now no one will ever see it unless I promote it. Pinterest is something where you can get a nice earned activity, but paid is used to really take it to the next level. Promoted pins is the first business model that Pinterest has launched. Started it last summer with a handful of brands. Some of our clients were in those early beta partners. Very interesting, again, it's proving out that people are okay with it. It's not annoying. It's something that actually adds value to the experience, arguably even better than, say, a Google AdWords. And we're also learning that the things that we do on earned by kind of for free testing lots of different content allows the best to show up, and those best are what we pay Pinterest to promote. And that's leading to some amazing results. One of the things, again, that's really exciting to me is that you're getting earned on top of paid. If you look at this graph, hard to tell in the back, but if you look at any other marketing campaign, you've got X number of weeks, X number of impressions that you're buying, and that's what you get. What you see is what you get. With Pinterest, in the beta promoted pins program, they shared that the companies who were playing got a 30% bonus in impressions on top of what they were paying for. In other words, people were seeing those promoted pins, pinning it because they liked it, and then that means then it becomes an earned stream. And so 30% bonus impressions on top of what you paid for helps with the eCPM, and again, gives us another goal to look at. What's exciting for us is that we've done some of this optimization work and seen the number go as high as 140%. Another campaign which just came in yesterday, a 200% earned bonus. So that you're paying $1 and getting $3 of value and making the experience better for the user. It's a win-win-win platform that gets us excited to play on it every day. We're Ahology, and I think there's like 3 minutes for questions. So, yep, so the question is, do our clients ever ask us to measure sales as a key to success? Oh yeah, there's not many marketers that are not asking the question of ROI. How do you do it? E-commerce is easy. E-commerce where if they're selling something that has a Pinterest fit, we're driving traffic, the traffic's tagged both from Pinterest and even our software to be able to see what's the before and after. How much traffic are we getting, how is that converting, time on site, that type of thing. It's harder with things, probably the hardest is packaged goods. So the Crafts and the Proctors of the world, because there's not a direct link to sale. That is still in development right now. I'd say every company we work with, we have a different path to get there. And Pinterest itself is working on some things to show that ROI. I'll tell you the most exciting thing with packaged goods is that we're starting to partner with retailers in store. There's a handful of examples that have been so far, but Walmart, for example, has seen results of doing A/B testing on just taking an end cap of any product, and when you put a curated by Pinterest logo on there, sales go up significantly. And I think that's part of what we'll see, is that this is not just about trying to get some attribution model. This is about giving people solutions and seeing the impact with moving cases in store, not just hoping that there was some kind of lift.